up, everybody? Welcome to Whatever with Jason Soto, the comedy podcast that literally talks about whatever. I am your host, Jason Soto, and today I am joined by my super special co-host. He is a longtime friend of mine. I've known him for a while, and he has had the unpleasure task of editing my books, which I'm surprised he has not gone crazy and admitted himself to the insane asylum or did a Joker on us by now. But give it up to my pal, Steve Honeywell. What's up, Steve?
I think you're working under the assumption that I wasn't already in an institution when you sent me those books, Jason.
Well, this certainly didn't help. I'll tell you that. As I was writing this, I'm like, I feel sorry for the poor person I get to edit this. And then you were like, I'll do it. And I'm like, all right. I'm sorry ahead of time.
Dude, I mean, I've been an English teacher. I was an English teacher. I don't teach English that much anymore, but I was an English teacher for years. Like, it was not anywhere close to the worst things that were turned into me. All right. I've had students send me a 10-word email with 11 mistakes.
How do you misspell your own first name?
You would never know. Unbelievable. But yeah, so I mean, you know.
All right, here you go, Vedward. All right, so today on the show we're going to talk about toxic masculinity. We're going to see how both Steve and I handle movie burnout. And we're going to talk about stuff that no longer exists anymore, that used to exist 20 years ago. But first, I need to talk about South Park. Steve, do you watch South Park?
I used to.
Okay, when did you stop watching South Park?
A while ago.
Okay.
I don't watch a whole lot of TV in general, so I mean, it wasn't specifically that I stopped watching South Park. I kind of just stopped watching TV. Oh,
all right, fair enough. Well, so it was just because the stop watching TV was the reason why you stopped watching South Park? There was no, like... Okay. So, I'll still say I'm still a fan of South Park, just not as big of a fan as I was. A few years ago, they started doing this thing that kind of annoyed me, where... so every episode was just kind of its own... like thing. Like, it wasn't no arching plot, there was no storyline, it was just each episode was about this. It got resolved in 30 minutes. Sometimes they'll have a 2-episode hour special thing, and that'd be it, and then they'll move on to something else. A few years ago they started doing like these weird like storylines, and they didn't there was no announcement that they're doing this or no news broke out about it. It just happened. And I remember watching the episode, and I was like, this is not going to end in, 5 minutes. So I thought, okay, it's a 2-part episode. That's fine. And then the next episode, it did it again. And then I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So they were doing these, long storyline things. And they introduced this character named PC Principal. And this was kind of, their jab at how, society and pop culture, says South Park is not PC. Because they were always, making fun of people or making fun of the handicap and stuff like that, and people would get offended. So they introduced this PC Principal character to kind of jab at that. Did you see any PC Principal episodes, Steve?
Nope, got no idea what you're talking about.
All right. So you stopped watching long before that. All right. Well, so
yes.
I stopped watching kind of right around this time. Just because I just was didn't like the way the show direction was taking. So last week I watched a new episode for the first time in 5 years because they referenced nonstop all these board games. Suddenly they just got into board games on South Park, and they started mentioning real board games that really exist. They had Star Trek Agency. They had Terraforming Mars and Blood Rage, and these are all real games that actually exist. And it's holy shit. So the board game world was freaking out about it, and so I was like, well, let me check this episode out, see what's going on. And it turned out the board game thing was half the episode. The other half focused on PC Principal and his wife, which ended up being called Strong Woman.
Okay.
And her whole thing is she's a strong woman and that she works out and does like, you know, competitions and marathons and stuff like that, and she's into like CrossFit or whatever. And then they have kids, and they call them the PC babies. And so that storyline involved the strong woman getting into a competition and getting beat by a trans woman, but it ended up being this guy who's just claiming to be a woman just so he can beat women at these games. That was kind of what the whole joke was. And
Okay.
and for some reason they made the guy Macho Man Randy Savage for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know why they picked that. I guess they had to pick, like, they had to go stereotypical douchebaggy guy, so they picked that for some reason. But it's supposed to be, well, I mean, he's like a Macho Man type. They didn't call him Macho Man. He had a regular name, like, I don't know, like Joe Johnson or something. But he was like, I identify as a woman. My name is Heather, and I'm entering these competitions as a woman. And so he would, like, beat all these women. And it turned out he used to date strong woman, and he got mad that she was stronger than him. So he then decided to say he was a trans woman, and he now identifies as a woman so he could beat her in these competitions. And so people online got mad.
Okay.
And and people online were like, oh, this is such a transphobic episode, and I can't believe that Trey Parker and Matt Stone are so transphobic in doing that. And I'm like, I don't really think they're transphobic. I think they're making fun of asshats who think that way. Like Steve, like, what do you think? Like, because, you know, there are guys online who are like, oh, I should pretend to be a woman and go join, like, the women's marathon and win and all that stuff. Like from what I was saying, like, what do you think?
I think that, I mean, it's hard to say, you know. The joy of South Park that I remember from when I watched it, you know, I don't know, what season is it up to now? Like
23.
21?
It's like 23 now, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I haven't watched it in ages, but I mean, one of the things that was always interesting about it was that it managed to, you know, by saying one thing, piss off everybody.
Right.
You know, piss off, you know, it's going to piss off the people who are pro-trans and anti-trans,
Mm-hmm.
just by saying the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, who knows what their actual position is? I don't know. But I mean, do you remember when Fight Club came out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Half the people thought it was pro-fascist, and half the people thought it was anti-fascist.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You know, and it could be read either way. And you know, the more you look into it, the more you realize that the guy who wrote Fight Club is a gay man talking about toxic masculinity. So,
right.
You know, the first time you watch, you know, Fight Club, you think, wow, that's a really cool movie, and you watch it a couple more times, you're like, wow, is this kind of pro-Nazi? And then you watch it a couple more times, you're like, wow, this is like a gay rom-com. You know, so
I guess that's true. I never thought about that.
So I mean, yeah, it could go any way. I don't know. I mean, I see where people might get upset by it, but again, was that their intent? Who knows?
Well, I mean, so in the episode, they made a point to call it out, like the whole, because the PC principal guy, he was upset that this trans woman was beating his wife in all these competitions, and so he confronted the trans woman, and the trans woman character kept saying he was transphobic for even, you know, suggesting this, and like, oh, you're transphobic because you won't let me compete, and you think I'm faking this and blah blah blah. And the guy's like, no, I completely support, you know, trans people and trans men and women, and, you know, trans, you know, if a man becomes a woman and goes to competitions, that's one thing, but like, it was very obvious, like, you know, in the episode, that the guy was doing it to beat women,
right.
You know, in the competition. And so they made like a point to like say like, oh no, the PC babies are not gonna like this, and they were referencing their kids in the show, but, you know, it was like a subtle nod to like the real life quote unquote PC babies,
right?
because they kept saying that, like, oh no, I'm upsetting the PC babies, and I disappointed the PC babies. And
and this is, I mean, I get where they're going with that, and again, that's kind of their thing, is they're going to piss off everybody. Yeah. I got to tell you though, anytime somebody argues against political correctness, like, oh, we have to be politically correct. You know what the other word for political correctness is?
What?
It's politeness.
Nah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I have a friend, a pretty good friend. She's a librarian one town over. We do a movie night once a month in her library. We call it Movies for Adults to separate it from adult movies.
That's probably a good idea.
Because, I mean, like, okay, so for instance, the movie we're going to do in December, we're going to do a Christmas movie. Can you guess what we're going to watch?
Die Hard.
Of course.
Yes!
So, yeah, absolutely. We're watching Die Hard. Because it's not Christmas until we see Hans Gruber fall off Nakatomi Plaza.
I have a shirt that says that.
Right. So, and it's first Saturday of the month. So, first Saturday of the month, we're watching Die Hard, and you pay $1 that we donate to the library to buy movies for the library's collection.
Okay.
And, like, I bring beer. And she brings candy, and, like, we eat popcorn and candy and drink beer and watch movies. It's a lot of fun. Sweet. Well, her youngest child is transgendered.
Okay.
And I only know her child as Tom. I've never known her child as anything other than Tom. So Tom is just Tom.
Right.
But like, if Tom had been introduced to me as a different name, then I would call Tom that name.
Uh-huh.
You know, if someone introduces themselves to me and says they're a man, okay, fine, you are. You know, if that's PC to call somebody by the thing they want to be called, then guilty. You know.
Right.
That's just me not being an asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
No,
we have to be politically correct. All you're saying when somebody says, "Oh, I don't want to have to be politically correct," is I want to be an asshole to people. That's all they're saying.
Yeah.
So, you know, I have a very short, temper for that kind of thing. You want to be an asshole, and I'm going to just give it back to you. I have very little patience for that.
Fair point. But I also want to say that I don't think Trey Parker and Matt Stone were being transphobic in the episode, because they were making nods to it. Like, they were flat out saying that people actually think that way, and it might be like a very delicate topic and situation, because like, well, how would you handle that in real life if this guy? I don't think anyone actually did this in real life. There's just a bunch of blowhards who want to say, "Oh yeah, I'm totally gonna, join the Special Olympics and beat all of them people."
But people have said that,
right? But they don't actually do it.
Right? But people have said, like, "Oh, if I knew this was an option when I was a kid, I would have pretended to be a girl so I could be in the girls' locker room."
Yeah,
of course you would. Of course you would have put yourself through all of that shit so you could be in the girls' locker room. Yeah, you would have done that. Of course you would have.
So I just kind of want to say to anyone out there that was offended by South Park, A, good job, you played into their game because they meant to do it, and B, this is not the first time, and most definitely will not be the last time that South Park is going to do something controversial. I mean, that's kind of what the fuck they're known for, is just doing controversial shit like all the goddamn time. Like, remember the Scientology thing? Like, that was like a huge deal, and they did that whole dig on Scientology. They did a dig on like Mormons, like they particularly make fun of Mormons.
The whole trapped in the closet thing.
Yeah. So
sure,
they're constantly like being controversial, and you could be like, oh, they're that guy that just says controversial things for attention, but they also bring up good points along as they're doing it. Like, they're not just like doing a transgender episode just be dicks. They're actually bringing spotlight to the intention on this whole thing, that people are actually like this and think this way, and maybe they shouldn't be doing that. So
right.
So this is actually kind of an interesting segue. I'm kind of glad this happened, because this goes into the other topic I want to talk about, is the whole toxic masculinity thing. And I'm calling it toxic masculinity, which we can dive into that. But my issue with it is the whole thing of you're not a man unless you do this. So, for an example, About God, it had to been at least 15 years at this point. Jesus Christ.
We're old, Jason.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, just wait until the first number changes on your birthday, man. I had one of those a couple of years ago. It's like, oh yeah, it's not a good day.
Well, you know what's funny though is I still celebrate my birthday. Like I really enjoy my birthday. Like I don't let that bother me.
I don't. I turned 50 a couple years ago, and my wife says to me, "So how do you feel?" I feel exactly the same, you know.
Yeah.
Yesterday I was, 49 years old and 364 days old, and today I'm, 50 years old. 2 days later, I got something from the AARP. Hey, join the AARP. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm old. How do you feel now? I need a cane.
My back immediately hurt. Like, oh yeah, man, what the fuck?
They have it down to the day, man. Like, yeah. I turned 50 and I got something from the AARP, and by the way, I am a member, so.
Oh, all right. enjoy those sweet discounts.
Oh, hey, the benefit that they had, they don't have anymore, was if you went to Dunkin' Donuts and bought a drink, you got a free donut.
Ooh, sweet.
So I'm thinking, hey, just for the amount that my membership costs, which is actually surprisingly cheap, I could make it up in free donuts in no time.
So, anyway. so did they give you your standard issue Jitterbug phone and Werther candies?
I like Werther candies, but I do not.
See? Ah.
I do like Werthers, man. They're good. Anyway, I completely derailed you. So
no, that's the whole point of the show. So this could have been that the optional title of this was Derailed with Jason Soto. So
fair enough. So anyway, something that happened apparently 15 years ago
regarding toxic. I used to read Maxim magazine.
Same.
Okay. So let me see if the same thing happened to you. So I used to read it for probably the obvious reason. But I also read it because some of the articles were actually kind of humorous. They were funny. They did movie reviews. They talked about pop culture. They had some actual, kind of interesting, serious articles. Like, one I read was about the BTK killer, if you know who that is.
Okay, sure, yeah.
And so I was like, oh, this is actually a pretty cool magazine. So I was reading it for a little while. But then I was getting kind of worn down on it because a lot of stuff in there was about, if you don't drive a big Dodge Ram truck, you're not a man, and we're going to talk about football for 45 pages, and here's a special football episode, and yeah, men go hunting and fishing and all this stuff. And I got really tired of seeing all that stuff because I'm not into any of that. I'm not into football. I don't like sports at all. I'm not into any sport whatsoever. I don't drive, and if I did, I wouldn't drive a giant-ass truck. I don't do, outside activities like hunting, and I've never hunted. I've gone fishing when I was a kid, and I didn't really enjoy it because it was fucking boring as shit. I can see it being relaxing. I'd understand if you just want to get away from the world and do something. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. But it was not for me. It was boring as hell, and I was with my aunt who's really crazy. So she was making me nervous the whole time anyway, because she kept thinking any minute now I was going to fall into the damn water. So she was making me all anxious anyway, so I couldn't enjoy myself. Yeah, so I just got tired of all that seeing all that shit, so I stopped reading it. So, what about you, Steve? What did that happen to you too?
Okay, yes and no. I will say that I did used to be a sports fan, and I can actually track, if I go back and really look, I could figure out when it was that I stopped being a sports fan. It was a conversation I had with my sister. It was a year that the Cubs were good. It wasn't the year they won the World Series. It was 2003 or 4. Okay. It was a year they were going to the playoffs. It was definitely before the White Sox won the World Series, which was mid 2000s. And I was a White Sox fan at the time. Right. And my sister said to me, well, if the Cubs go to the World Series, you're going to root for the Cubs. And I said, no, I'm a White Sox fan. She's like, but they're a Chicago team. I'm like, yes, so? She's like, but they're a Chicago team. You should root for a Chicago team. And I kind of very quickly went through this sort of mental process where I thought, okay, first of all, I don't live in Chicago. I live in, at the time I lived where I live now, which is like 60 miles away from Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, I tell people I live in the middle of a cornfield, and that's not exactly true. But if you stood on my front lawn and pointed in front of yourself and turned a circle 360 degrees, you would be pointing at corn or soybeans within 15 minutes of literally every direction. For anyone who drives through the Midwest, you know, you drive past cornfields and they've got the signs out.
Yeah.
Like what kind of corn? Like there's Pioneer and there's, you know, Weifels and all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
One of the corn brands is DeKalb.
Oh.
That's my town.
Yeah.
Their symbol is an ear of corn with wings. That's from my town. That was created here. DeKalb corn came from DeKalb, freaking Illinois, which is where I live. When I say I live in a cornfield, that's what I'm freaking talking about. Our claim to fame as a town is that 200 years ago, a guy lived here who invented barbed wire.
Oh.
That's our claim to fame. We, like, Richard Jenkins grew up here, and we have a barbed wire museum. So, I mean, you know, I don't live in Chicago. I don't live in Chicago. Yes, I don't live in Chicago. So if a Chicago team wins, what does that mean to me? And then I thought about it more, and I thought, none of the players are from Chicago.
Huh.
They're all mercenaries. They're all from somewhere else. So, like, when I was a fan, I mean, when I had these thoughts, I was a fan. I was an active fan of the Bulls, the Bears, the White Sox, the Blackhawks. And I thought, if the White Sox, who are my favorite team, and the Cubs, who are the team I hate because I'm a White Sox fan, traded rosters tomorrow,
yeah,
I would be a White Sox fan. I'd be rooting for all of the players that I couldn't give a crap about yesterday, and all the players that I'm a fan of now, I wouldn't care about anymore because they're on the Cubs. All that means is I'm cheering for people who are wearing the same color shirt I am. I'm rooting for laundry. And then I thought, what does it matter to me? Like, if a Chicago team wins, if the Cubs won the World Series in 2003 or whenever this was, does that make me a better person? Does that make people want to hang out with me because I'm from the Chicago region? What does it matter to my life which team of overpaid crybaby steroid monkeys wins a trophy? And from that moment on, I just stopped giving a shit about sports. I haven't paid attention to sports in like 15 years because of that. Like, I had that conversation, like 10 minutes later, I was like, fuck it, I'm done with sports.
Wow.
But my reason for stopping reading Maxim magazine was there was an article that was like, by this time in your life, you should have done this by the time you were 19. You should have done this by the time you were 20. And it stopped at an age that was 4 years younger than I was. And I'm like, well, fuck, I'm too old for this magazine now, so screw it.
Oh, okay. All right.
That was it.
Huh. Okay. Yeah,
but
so
the reason for reading Maxim, as a guy I used to work with would say, he watched Baywatch for the articles. So.
Yeah. No, that's not wrong. But I guess so. I just wanted to say, and I'm hoping you feel the same way I do, is that I get why, like, advertising does what they do, in that they have to have a target. Like, they have to have a clear target. They have to, like, say, here's a product. This is for men, and so we have to aim this at men. But I hate the way a lot of things for men are aimed for men, because they make it sound like you're a worthless human being if you're not into this thing. Like, does that make sense?
No, yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, I'm a guy who was a stay-at-home dad.
Okay.
Now, it wasn't like my wife earned all the money and I stayed at home. I had a job that allowed me to work at home.
Right.
But, like, I was home with my kids. Like, when my girls had, grade school parties, like their Christmas party, I was the only dad that was there. But I was there because I was working at home and I could go do it. I took kids to the doctor, and I was home. And that was like, that's really demasculating, if you allow it to be. I'm the guy who does, like, I do all the grocery shopping and all the cooking in my house.
All right.
Yeah. Christmas is coming, and I don't buy gifts for my parents anymore. I make them gifts, and what do I make them? I make jelly and pickles. Oh. I can food, which is like, and the fact that I don't pay any attention to sports, I've had students literally say to me, well, are you gay then?
Holy shit, what?
Oh, yeah. You'd be surprised what students will ask you. Like, the one student who said, well, You say you're like, you're not a racist, but what if your daughter comes home with a black boyfriend?
What?
Well, my answer to that is, first of all, he's going out with my daughter. I'm going to hate him.
Okay.
Both my younger daughter has a boyfriend right now, and every time I see him, he's a really nice kid. And by the way, for the people who are asking, like, what are you going to do if your daughter comes home with a black boyfriend? My daughter's boyfriend is Mexican. So she comes home with the Mexican boyfriend, who's really a nice kid. And he's a horror movie nerd, so I love it.
Sweet.
The joke is that he comes out he's dating my daughter because he really wants to date me. But I mean, there's a part of me that thinks, hey, Manny, nice to see you. Keep your hands off my daughter. But yeah, I mean, students will ask, so you don't like football? Are you gay?
Man.
Wouldn't my wife be shocked?
I did have some years ago. So I don't know if you remember LiveJournal, or if you ever heard of it or had one or whatever.
Yeah, I remember it.
Okay.
I was never on LiveJournal.
Okay.
But I remember
it. So I had one of those back when that was a thing.
And man.
What'd you say?
Were you all angsty and shit? Was it?
Yeah.
Was it
I you know what?
Goth phase.
I probably was angsty. I'm not gonna lie.
Nobody really understands me, man.
Yeah, probably. Hell, some days I feel like that to this day.
All right.
So to explain really quick what LiveJournal is to our younger demographic, it was a website that it was kind of like a blog, but before blogs was a thing. It was just a place you would write whatever. Like basically, it was supposed to be like your thoughts, like how they had journals back in the day. You're supposed to like just write this, but on a website, and you had your own thing, and then you could like have friends, and you could follow, your friends' journals of what they wrote on there.
Yeah, it was an online open to the public diary.
Yeah, basically. Okay, so I was on there, and then some random guy that I don't remember, I think I found him in like a comedy, because there'd be like these groups, kind of like how Facebook has now. It was basically Facebook before Facebook was a thing. That's basically what LiveJournal was.
That's true.
And they used to have these groups, and there was like an MST3K group and like a comedy group, and whatever you're into, they had a group for it. And so there was this guy that I became friends with, and he started following my journal, and I made some reference about not watching football because I think this was when the Bears and the Colts were in the Super Bowl, and me from being from outside of Chicago, kind of like what you just were saying. I was from outside of Chicago.
You're in Indianapolis though, and that's the Colts are the Indianapolis team.
But I didn't live in Indianapolis at the time. I was living just outside of Chicago.
Fair.
And so my fiance, she was my girlfriend at the time, but she was from Indianapolis, and so we had this weird like thing, like, oh, Chicago versus Indianapolis, this is fun. So we were watching it, and I made a joke. And I said something about, I don't watch the Super Bowl for the sport. I watch it for the ads, which pisses off a lot of people for some reason.
Right.
And it's true. I only watch the Super Bowl for the ads. Because, they make a big deal about it. These ads, they spend like $9 gajillion to make an ad for the Super Bowl. Better be damn good. And so I do. I only watch Super Bowl just for the ads. And so I made that joke. And so some guy said something about, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, but these were some of the words he used. He said something about, oh, you don't watch football? I didn't know you had a vagina.
Right.
And so right. I was like, what the fuck did you say? And then I said, no, I'm just not into football. And he says, no, that's okay. I know a lot of women who's not into football. It's okay. So, yeah, I unfriended that guy, like, immediately that day because he was pissing me off. And,
and for what it's worth, I don't even watch the Super Bowl for the commercials.
Okay,
what I have discovered for anyone else who's out there listening to this who is not a football fan, which is roughly half the country. Yeah. Football's super popular, but, like, there's about 50% of the country that doesn't care about the Super Bowl. So for those of you who don't care about the Super Bowl, it is absolutely the best night of the year to go out to dinner.
Oh, I can imagine.
Go to a restaurant that doesn't have a TV, and you'll be the only people there.
Fair. That's cool.
Service is great. Leave your server a big tip because you'll be their only person. You'll be their only table. Leave them a big tip, but you'll have the best service of your life. It's a great night to go out.
is it getting harder though to find a restaurant that doesn't have a TV in it? Because every restaurant I go to seems to have a TV in it, and seems to have some kind of sport playing.
That does seem to be the case. I mean, stay away from like a Buffalo Wild Wings.
Well, yeah, but I meant like even if you go to like Chili's, they have TVs in Chili's.
Right. Well, I mean, that's why I'll go to like there's a local Thai place here. They don't have TV.
Oh, okay.
You know, go ethnic.
Okay, so I guess you could do like maybe just do like a fast casual place because like
Sure.
you know Chipotle doesn't have TV.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
But I'm trying to think like restaurants around me, like actual restaurants that don't have TVs, and the only one I could think of, honestly, I think is IHOP and Crackle Barrel.
Yeah.
I think those are the two places near me that do not have TVs in them.
Well, it's scout around.
Yeah. But that's a good
I'll ask
idea,
my brother. My brother's in Indy, or one of my brothers lives in Indy. I'll ask him if he's got any good restaurants that don't have TVs. I'll let you know.
But actually, since we're going on that, that always annoyed me when we go out to restaurants. Would be if they had a TV, it was always turned to sports.
Right.
Like it was always turned to sports, no matter, and it wouldn't even be like a sports bar. Like I can understand if we were at like Buffalo Wild Wings or one of those places like that. But we would be at like a fucking I don't know, I can't think, like a regular burger joint, and they have like fucking like the World Series was on, and I was like why? You know what I mean? Like,
right. Well, because it probably is the thing that most people will agree on that they would be okay with on a TV.
I guess.
I know. I mean, I'm with you. I am 100% with you. In that I don't give a shit about sports ball. I am in that weird position of like, if you sat me down in front of a TV and there was a football game on, like I could follow it. Like I know how the penalties are happening. I know like when the ref does a certain thing with his arms, I know that means offsides and things like that. I like when a play happens, I can follow the action because I used to be a fan.
Yeah.
But I genuinely don't care about it. But I mean, I think if you asked a bunch of people, they're not going to put the news on because that's going to, if you're sitting in a restaurant and half the people are MAGA heads, MAGA hats, then you're not putting on Fox News. And if the other people are, the rest of the people are not, the rest of the people are, say, sane, they're like, we don't want to watch Fox News.
Well,
so you can't put on the news. You're not going to put on a movie. Because, yeah, great, I'm going to walk in the middle of a movie. I wanted to watch that, and I just saw the ending. Sports is neutral. Like it or not, sports is neutral.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I don't know.
Because the other thing is this. I mean, the thought is men watch sports. But it's not true. There are lots of men who don't, and there are lots of women who do.
Right, exactly. I agree with that.
So, it's again, so it crosses gender.
Yeah.
It is. Like it or not, it is neutral. Yeah, I agree with you that I don't give a shit about it when it's on. I just don't watch it.
I guess. I mean, there could be either, if you insist on having the TV in there, like, there has to be something else. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the solution is. I just
Dora the Explorer?
There you go. I'd be okay with that. I'd watch some SpongeBob, but SpongeBob, what the fuck? Everyone, it's the same thing. Everyone loves SpongeBob. I'm sure even like the MAGA people probably like SpongeBob. I mean, come on, who doesn't like SpongeBob?
I would say if there's anybody who doesn't, it's them.
Well, true, but I mean, I can't see a reason why they would hate it. You know what I mean? It's not like SpongeBob was ever like
they need a reason.
I can't imagine SpongeBob being like, "Yay, Hillary Clinton," or anything like that.
Anyway.
So okay, I don't know. So that kind of went nowhere. I don't have a solution to that problem.
I don't either. But again, I as someone again who does all the cooking in my house, it's just such a weird thing that like we have these weird gender roles, and I don't get why that's a thing. I don't get why anyone cares.
Well, I mean,
why does anyone care that I enjoy cooking?
Right. No, I think that's weird too that that other people give men shit for cooking when there are famous male chefs.
Right, but I mean,
Like-
it's not just things like that. I mean, my wife earns more money than I do.
Yeah, and
I'm fine with that. I mean,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
doesn't. It's not like I don't feel like my dick shrivels up because she makes more money. I have better insurance than she does. We use my insurance.
Yeah.
You know, does that mean that like, you know, she's more of the head of the household than I am, but I get to make all the medical decisions? What the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, but I've had people say, "Well, your wife earns more money than you do. You have a problem with that?" Fuck no. If one of us has to retire, it's me.
Yeah.
Kidding? She'll be my sugar mama. I'm down with that.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, I mean, hell, absolutely. And if that means that I have to do not just all the cooking, but like I have to start doing like all the laundry and the cleaning, cool.
Yeah, I don't get, but yeah, I don't get like why that's a bad thing though. Like, who cares? Like, who cares who does the cooking in a household? Like, why does that matter? Like, you know, if like Steve, you know, you went out with a bunch of people, and you know, you said that like, yo, I do the cooking in my house, and someone was like, I can't believe you do the cooking. Like, you know, like why do they care so much? Like, why is that such a huge deal? Like, who gives a fuck? It's not affecting your life, none whatsoever. What the fuck I do in my house? I'm the one doing it. If you want to let your girlfriend, wife, whatever, do the cooking, so be it. That's how your household is run. On my household, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want, and if I want to cook, I want to cook.
Right, and I mean, honestly, that's the same way I feel about things like gender and sex. I mean, like, well, that guy's gay. Well, so what? He's not.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. Like, do you remember a few years ago?
You know, he's not trying to have sex with me, dude. I mean, outside of my house, I'm a Trappist monk. I mean, I don't that's so far down on the list of shit I care about because it doesn't matter to me one way or the other. Oh, well, this guy's gay. Well, so what? First of all, I'm not so much of an asshole that I think he's going to be attracted to me. I don't have that high of an opinion of myself.
Fair.
You know, the fact that this guy is gay doesn't mean he wants to get into my pants. He might actually have taste.
True. But I mean, I feel the same way as you do about that thing. Like, you know, whenever I, you know, meet a gay person and I don't like get uncomfortable or anything, I'm like, oh, cool, all right.
Yeah, whatever.
I've never encountered. I'm gonna be honest. I've never encountered a gay guy who was attracted to me, and that's fine.
Or you have, and they just didn't tell you.
It could be. I mean, I don't know. Not the stereotype, but I have met a lot of very open, opinionated gay guys who will speak their mind whether you ask them to or not. You know, I've known a lot of, you know, gay dudes like that, and that's perfectly okay. And right. You know, they're basically like Billy Eichner. So if you know who that is,
yes.
Yeah. So what was I saying? Do you remember a few years ago? There was this whole no homo trend that was happening. Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
So it was like a rap thing basically, and it would be in all these like rap songs and rap culture and music videos and stuff, and they would like say something like they would compliment another guy, like another rapper, but then they would have to end it with no homo to say, oh, I'm giving this guy a compliment, but it's not because I'm sexually attracted to him. And right. It's like, dude, like, it was the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life, and it annoyed me to no end. And I was very glad it disappeared. Like, they stopped saying it, thank God. But it was so infuriating because it was just like, who the fuck cares? Steve, you look awesome tonight. And I did not say no homo at the end of that.
No, I know what you mean, though. I do know what you mean. We live in a culture where, and it's, you know, two women who haven't seen each other for a while, you know, run into each other and they're excited to see each other, and two guys run into each other and they haven't seen each other in a while and they're friends and they call each other asshole. Oh, you piece of shit, where you been? That's how we show affection in this culture. That's how guys show affection, is to insult each other. Jason, you dickhead, where you been, man? If I said that to you, you would not be like, wow, he must be really pissed at me. You'd think, haha, that's funny. That's how we greet each other. But that's because that's our culture. So, I mean, yeah, I can't say anything nice about you because that must mean I'm gay. If you're my friend and I want to say something nice about you, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to say, this motherfucker, he's an asshole. This is my guy. This is my buddy Jason. He's a real prick. Don't, be careful around him because he's going to fuck with you. That's how we tell people that we like you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's our culture. I mean, yeah, it's stupid. But it's hard to overcome that. Like it or not, because that's what you grew up with. I mean, I realize that's a thing, and I still do it sometimes.
Yeah. So I don't know. I there's probably we keep thinking there's going to be an end to all this toxic masculinity. Like pretty soon we'll have guys who are like us, who are like sensitive, not sensitive, but like are okay with everything and don't need to fill in gender roles. But I feel like it's gonna be a very long time before it's settled. Because even when all these like old guys die finally, there might still be some leftover people who still feel that way.
Well, I guarantee you there will be. And part of the reason, and part of the problem is, I'm going to go off on a screed now. And so, for some of your listeners, I'm going to possibly offend you.
No, yeah.
So I'm just going to start off by saying that I'm going to blame religion.
Okay. And
I'm going to do that in part because I am a raging non-religious person.
You don't say.
I do say. I am. When you have to check a box that says "What is your religion?" Mine is atheist, because fuck all that. I'm not just an atheist. I'm an anti-theist. I think religion is a problem. I think it causes a lot of problems. I have problems with religion. Let's just put it out there.
Yeah. I know. I follow you on Facebook.
I know. A lot of what I put on Facebook is like, look at the shit religion did today.
Yeah.
My favorite hashtag on Facebook is empty the pews. So for whatever that's worth. But I mean, a lot of this gender role shit comes from religion.
Okay. Yeah.
True. The guy that some douchebag that just got appointed to some Trump bullshit thing. It's like, women should not be in the workplace and they should try to be handmaids. I mean, what the fuck?
Oh my God.
You know that guy is super hyper religious. That's not just some guy. He's like some minister of something or whatever. You know that sight unseen, knowing nothing else about the guy, he's really religious when he says shit like that. You know that like the Duggar family, the 28 million kids and counting, how many things she's shot out of her clown car uterus. You know that like every one of their girls is going to be like, I'm going to have me 40 babies.
Yeah.
And I mean, and what are they going to teach those kids? They're going to teach them the same bullshit.
Yeah, I know.
So those people are always going to be this. I mean, the hope is that there's going to be less and less, and maybe some of them can be pulled away from it. Half of the Phelps family, the Westboro Baptist Church, half of them left. Half of them were like, I can't be part of this church anymore. This is the worst thing ever.
Oh, okay.
So
I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
The hope is that kind of thing will happen, but you teach kids shit like that from the time they're 2 until the time they're 17. They believe that shit. And you have a movement, especially on the right, where college is dangerous. Don't let your kids go to college because they'll teach them all that liberal anti-God stuff.
Yeah.
There's kids go to college and they become liberal because they teach them the liberal shit. You know what? That's actually not true. You know why people become more liberal when they go to college? It's because they run into people that don't look like them. Yes. When you go to college, when you come from, Podunk, when you come from fucking DeKalb, Illinois, although actually DeKalb's a bad example of this because we have a large university here. It's one of the reasons we moved here. But, you go, 20 miles down the road and, into like Waterman, Illinois, where like, the black section of town is the one black family.
Oh, wow.
You go to college and suddenly there's, 5 black guys who live on your dorm floor. And your roommate is Hispanic. you run into people who don't look like you and who might have a different religion from you and who think differently from you and are a different part of the country or a different part of the state. And suddenly you're like, oh, all this shit that my parents told me or my church told me that these people were evil and bad and scary. And it's just like, they're just like me.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the reasons we moved to this town, was because DeKalb has a large university, so there's people from all over the world here. DeKalb actually has a really big Southeast Asian population.
Oh, wow.
Go figure. I was here as an undergraduate, and I worked in the library, which, by the way, if you ever go back to college or if you're going to college, get a job in your library. It's the best job on campus. I used to sit at the circulation desk and got paid to do homework. It's great.
Sweet.
But I worked with a guy named Joe Fernandez, who was from Malaysia. And I said, how did you get the name Joe Fernandez when you're from Kuala Lumpur? And his answer was Portuguese missionaries. Okay, cool. Anyway, I said to him one day after I'd known him for a while, I said, Joe, how the hell did you get here? I mean, you're from Kuala Lumpur. How the hell did you end up in the middle of a cornfield in Illinois? And he said, I came here for your library. I'm like, okay, what, you wanted to work here? And he said, no, it's the third largest Southeast Asian library in the United States.
Oh.
And I said, okay, well, why didn't you go to one or two? And he said, I couldn't get into Harvard, and you can't get a degree from the Library of Congress.
Huh.
Okay. So, but because of that, we attract a huge number of Southeast Asian students. And so there's, Vietnamese and Thai and Laotian and Chinese and Japanese and Malaysian and Filipino students. And so a lot of them stay. So we have we have a bunch of really good Asian restaurants in town. But we have a huge Asian population. One of my older daughter's best friends when she was a kid was from Bali. You don't get that in another small town. We were looking to move to a really small town, when we moved here, 20 years ago. We were looking to move into this really small town, and we realized that if we moved there, we were the least white family. I've had my DNA done on 23andMe, man. I am 99.9% Northern European.
Huh.
I am so white, I'm a shade away from clear. Like, every one of my ancestors could throw a rock into the Arctic Circle. We don't go further south than, Paris.
Nice.
So when I'm the least white guy, it's like being in Utah. When I'm the least white guy, we got some issues.
Yeah. All right, so that was our take on toxic masculinity. We didn't solve anything, but, that's just kind of our thoughts on the whole thing.
No, we didn't solve anything, but we're right.
Yeah. And what Steve says is gospel. Oh, sorry. I said a religious term around you.
That's all right. Yeah, I consider myself to be an evangelical atheist.
Fair enough. Okay, so moving on. I'm pretty sure this was you. That's kind of why I'm bringing this up. I think I remember you saying something about... first off, so anyone doesn't know, Steve has a movie blog. It's called 1001 Plus, and you can find it at 1001plus.blogspot.com. Steve reviews movies. He started off doing the movies in the 1001 movies you need to see before you die thing. But then he eventually ran out, so he just starts doing whatever. But I remember you seeing somewhere on Facebook or Twitter or somewhere that you were sort of getting burnt out on movie watching and reviewing. Was that true?
It's yes and no. A lot of it it's been really hard to focus on it, since you can watch the kind of real-time destruction of our society and world on Twitter. And so it's been kind of hard. It's been, hard sometimes to think, I'm going to watch, Drag Me to Hell, or I'm going to watch Severance, or I'm going to watch, The Avengers when, right now the president is destroying our democracy. And so it's been kind of hard to, and we've got 10 years to fix climate change. I got into a kind of a funk where it was just like, I find it really hard to justify wanting to do this right now. When it feels like the world is ending.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to bring this down, but I mean, that's really what happened. And I'm trying to start to kind of get back into it where it's like, I'm allowed to do things that I like.
Yeah.
I'm fighting back the way I can. I got a position on my town's environmental commission. I wrote some legislation recently that hopefully will pass the city council that will allow people to keep bees, have apiaries in their backyards. So, because the bees are dying, and it would be nice to have pollinators. And there's a couple other things that I'm working on with the commission, like dealing with food waste, and we have a food desert in town here, and trying to find ways to handle that better, and reduce waste. And it's like, okay, you know what? I'm doing what I can. I can't do everything, and so I am allowed to do something that I like again. And so I'm starting to get back into it again, because I feel like I'm allowed to. But there was a time when it felt like things are so bad, I feel guilty for having this frivolous thing that I do.
Okay. All right, that wasn't the answer I was expecting, but okay, that's a good answer. So mine's is nowhere near as serious. I just got kind of tired of doing it. So, all right, so the full story is my first movie website was way back. I started it way back in 2005, and it was called Invasion of the B Movies, and it was just me reviewing bad movies, B movies. It was just that's all I did. And then I did that up until 2012. Yeah, because the one last reviews I did for there was 2012, the movie.
Sure.
And
kind of a
so
big budget B movie.
Yeah. Well, so during that time, I was getting tired of the low budget movies, and so I just kind of went with stuff that people didn't like or wasn't very popular, and so I kind of shifted gears a little bit.
You wouldn't know that based on the shit you made me watch, but whatever.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to the layer in a second.
Oh, yeah.
But then I teamed up with my friends Nick Job, who was in the last episode, and my other friend Nolan, and we did a website called Your Face, and we just sort of just kept doing our movie reviews on there, and that opened me up a little bit to do other things that were not only B movie centric. I got to review like actual good like movies, especially good horror movies. Like I reviewed Videodrome, and stuff like that. And it was kind of refreshing. It was pretty refreshing. But then a couple of years doing that, I kind of got a little burnt out. Like I got a little, like I wasn't looking forward to it anymore. Like I used to look forward to, getting a movie from Netflix or renting it from somewhere. And like, oh, this looks fucking terrible. I can't wait to watch it and laugh and then write a funny review for it and entertain everybody. There was just like one point where I just kind of felt like this was not fun anymore.
And it gets to be a job.
I was dreading it. Yeah. And
it gets to be a chore, like something you have to do.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I get that. I do. And I probably will eventually stop reviewing movies. But I like them, so I keep watching them.
Yeah. And that's cool. I guess my question was like, I know you're still doing it, and prior to the reason you just gave to me, but was there ever any some time where even when you were doing your 1001 thing, was there a point where you were like, I don't know if I could do this anymore? Like, how much more can I do? Like, did you ever feel that way?
Not in general, but for specific movies, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just now finishing up the latest 1001 movies. I got one more to go.
Okay.
It was one of those things. They had 8 to 12 a year.
Okay, yeah.
So they added 12 this year, and I had already put up reviews of I think 7. So I had 5 to catch up.
Cool.
I rewatched Infinity War.
I did see that. I did check that. I do read your stuff. I just don't always comment.
Right.
Because a lot of stuff is like, I don't know what to say. So I was like,
yeah.
It was because, just commenting good review all the time gets a little tiring.
Right. And admittedly, based on the stuff that you like to watch, I'm not going to say that because you do watch good movies sometimes, but based on the kind of stuff that you watch, you're unlikely to say watch Capernaum, which is a movie I just watched, right? It's the one I just put up, and you're less likely to watch something like The Greatest Showman, which
I probably won't.
I thought didn't really belong on the 1001 movies list, and I would say the same thing, by the way, about the recent Star is Born. Anyway, I've got one left to do to finish it up, but you know what? you'll want to show up on Wednesday, because Wednesday I'm putting up a review of Crawl.
Oh, I want to see that.
It's you know what? It's a creature feature.
Wait, is that out? Wait, is that out on DVD?
It's out. I've watched it on Bluray, man.
Really? Oh shit!
Yeah.
I gotta go. Let me go to my library right now and add that to my list.
It's basically Hard Rain meets Deep Blue Sea.
Oh, I know. I remember when it was in theaters. I wanted to see it, but I never got to it.
It's dumb. It's great. You know, the dad is played by Barry Pepper, which is entertaining as hell.
Oh my god! Wow.
Yeah.
Is Barry Pepper still a thing?
Yeah, but now you want to watch it even more, don't you?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm on my library website right now. I'm putting the hold on it.
It's Hard Rain meets name a creature feature.
I love you name dropping Hard Rain.
But I mean, it's a flood. Would you prefer?
I know, but I don't know a lot of people who've seen Hard Rain.
Would you prefer Daylight?
I guess there is no popular mainstream
flood
water movie that's not Waterworld.
Right. It's not like there's a lot of flood movies lying around out there.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's that meets Grizzly or something like that.
Yeah,
big nature out of control, or like Open Water. It's Open Water Gator version.
Okay, I think that probably.
I was entertained. You get to see half a dozen people eaten by alligators, and what could be better?
Nice. Okay, so anyway, I was feeling burnt out, and it eventually turns out Nick and Nolan was feeling the same way, kind of all at the same time. Actually, it was kind of weird.
Well, so when did you start?
When did we start Your Face, or when did I start?
You. When did you personally start reviewing movies?
2005.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I started in 2009, 10. Technically, my blog started in 2009, but it was the last couple days of 2009. So I actually started reviewing movies on this blog in 2010. I'd done one for maybe 9 months before that. It's been 10 years. I've got, I don't know, if you give me a second, I could tell you exactly how many movie reviews I put up. It's a lot.
Oh, yeah, and it was more, and now going into my first podcast, The Lair of the Unwanted, I did that with Nolan for about almost 10 years. And that was a primarily B-movie podcast.
Yes, it was.
And the other thing was we didn't take any long-term breaks. Like, we never did, like, we're going to take a month off or whatever. We were steady going through all 9 years. It was like we never missed an episode. We never missed anything. There might have been like maybe once I had to cancel because something happened to me. But like that, it was very rare that stuff like that happened. So we were steadily watching these terrible movies for like 9 years straight, and making other people like Steve and Nick and all my other friends that we had on like watch them with us sometimes.
Yes.
Except you did introduce to us a really damn cool movie, The Hidden,
which is still a great movie,
and I'm very, very thankful for that. And I'm forever eternally grateful that you gave me your VHS copy.
Yes,
I have cherished that thing. It is in my collection. I'm seriously happy that I have that.
Yeah, it's a great movie. But and for those of you who may not know Jason's past and my past, just to give you an idea of exactly how incestuous we really are here. Jason's site, Your Face, was with Nolan, who he did a podcast with, and Nick, and I was Nick's podcasting partner for like 3 years.
Yep. Yeah.
So I was like the fourth unofficial member of Your Face.
True.
In some ways.
That is true.
In the sense that, like, if anybody had a claim to be like the fifth Beatle of Your Face, it would be me.
But then it got to a point on the podcast where, I was getting tired of doing that too.
Right.
And Nolan was feeling the same way. He was like, yeah, I don't know. I'm getting a little, well, Nolan was more, he didn't have a lot of time because he was doing a lot of other stuff towards the end. Because he's been working on this book he's been writing for like 3 years now. And then, he got a new girlfriend. His kids they're teenagers now, and they're doing more shit. And all this stuff is just kind of happening all at once. And then I was like, we would pick a movie, and like 9 times out of 10, I would pick the movie.
Right.
And every now and then Nolan would suggest something, and I'd be like, yeah, that sounds cool. But I would pick the movie just based on, what I wanted to see or what I think would make a funny, episode. And then I was getting tired of doing that. I was like, I don't know how much more I can do this. Like, I for once, I want to cover, like, I want to do Friday the 13th. So I started a Friday the 13th podcast, and I'm enjoying that. But I just got burnt out. No longer got burnt out, and I think a lot of people who had movie review sites that when I started out with the LAM, the Large Association of Movie Blogs, a lot of them don't exist anymore because I think they felt burnt out. There's all these new people that I have no idea who the fuck they are.
Right. Yeah, and I stopped doing LAM shit. I mean, what, 6 years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
7 years ago? I mean, it's been a while since because I was a regular on the Lambcast for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Where I did Movie of the Month every month.
Yeah.
And then I was just kind of done. After like 2 or 3 years, I'm like, yeah, I'm just not going to do any LAM shit.
I show up on the Lambcast every now and then. I'm with people that I have no idea who the fuck they are. The only person I would know would be Jay, who's the host of the Lambcast. That was it. I don't know who the hell these people are. And I'm like, all right, hi, nice to meet you. I've been here for like 12 years. I was like one of the original members, and I don't know who the hell you are. But yeah. So I don't know. This really didn't go anywhere either. That's the whole. That should have been the second title of this podcast. Not going anywhere with Jason Soto. Yeah, I don't know. I just got tired of just all of it, and I still like talking, so that's why I created this podcast.
I mean, like I said before we started, I mean, I had to like redo Skype completely and like create a new account because every time I think I'm never going to podcast again, Jason's like, "Hey, I want you to be on my podcast."
I know. I have you on my friends list like 5 times.
Yeah, because every time it's like, well, I got to redo Skype again. I don't remember what my password was. I don't remember what my name was. No. Guess I'll create a new account.
Yeah. So this is like I think your 5th one on.
Probably, I think probably every time every throwaway email address I have has a Skype account attached to it.
Yeah, it's possible.
So I just I don't do it anymore. Things change and you stop doing certain things. And it was just it was an end of an era when you and Nolan gave up the lair because that was the one podcast I still listen to.
Oh, well, thanks. Wow.
But then it was like, oh well, it's kind of over. It's things end, and that's okay.
Yeah,
it's sad, but I'm keeping the blog open right now because I need to finish the Oscar stuff that I'm doing.
Oh yeah.
But I'm getting to the end of that, and I think I'm gonna I'm gonna do a really hard left turn and just do horror movies then.
Okay.
That's
cool.
I don't know how much I'm gonna post, but I think I'm gonna just do horror movies, like just horror movies, or most horror movies.
Well, that got my attention.
Yeah, just there's that They Shoot Zombies list because I'm a list guy.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, you are.
I've seen, I don't know, half of that list right now. Well, a little over half. By the way, I have put up just over 2,700 reviews on my site.
Oh, sweet.
So that gives you an idea of exactly where I am. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's... So, all right. Movie review burnout. That's what happened to us.
Yeah, like I said, I'm trying to get back into it, but I did take a really, really, really long break from it. Like I normally watch 350 to 400 movies a year, and it's about a movie a day.
Okay.
400 movies in a year, which sounds like oh my god, that's an incredible amount of movies. It's 1 movie a day and 3 extra movies a month.
All right.
You work it out for yourself. That works out to 401 movies. It's not a terrible when you consider that I watch no sports.
Yeah.
And I watch no TV.
Okay. Now, okay.
2 hours a day in front of a movie is less than most people watch TV.
Now I'm curious though about the no TV thing. Yeah, I know you mentioned it earlier, but let me go back really quick. Is there like literally no TV shows you watch like in between the movies? Like you never seen like Stranger Things or?
Okay, I watched the first season of Stranger Things, and I watched some of the Marvel shows on Netflix.
Okay.
I do like the Great British Baking Show, which everyone should watch.
Okay.
And I watched Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I can find I watched a season of Boardwalk Empire. I've watched I think 4 seasons of American Horror Story. I've watched 4 or 5 seasons of X-Files. I've watched I think 3 seasons of The Walking Dead. But here's the thing, and this is the best analogy I have for this: is a TV show is a relationship. It's a commitment.
Yeah.
And a movie is a one-night stand.
Yeah.
I can watch a movie and be done with it in 2 hours, and I can move on to something else. But I mean, to watch a show, I have to invest. And my wife is the opposite. My wife does not watch a lot of movies, but she has watched Mr. Robot, and she watches Grace and Frankie, and she watched The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and she's watched all of Dexter, and you can name a bunch of shows, and she's watched all of them. I have, to give you an idea, when I say I don't watch TV, here's some shows I have never seen a full episode of. You ready?
Oh, yeah. Let's do this.
Friends.
Holy shit.
Big Bang Theory.
Okay, I don't blame you.
The Simpsons.
Oh, not one episode?
Not one full episode.
What?
Seinfeld.
What?
I've never watched an episode of The Sopranos. I've never watched an episode of Mad Men. I hadn't watched an episode of Walking Dead until earlier this year. Same with Boardwalk Empire. What are some of the other big ones? The Office. I've never seen an episode of The Office.
Oh my god. Okay. X-Files.
I've watched a few seasons, but before this year I actually did watch some more TV, which is probably why I've watched fewer movies. But before this year, I think I'd seen 2 full episodes of the X-Files entirely, and now I've watched about 3 or 4 seasons.
Now, this explains why you're an MST3K fan, because it's a TV show that watches a movie.
Right, exactly.
And bad movies on top of that.
Yes, although you're a bigger bad movie fan than I am.
True, that's
but
true.
I have never shied away.
No, I know. You will watch anything, and I've been very grateful for that.
Yes, so. You've made me watch some shit, so...
I'm trying to think what's the worst thing I made you watch. Do you ever recall?
The Undertaker and His Pals.
Okay. I remember you hating that.
Everyone hated that but you, Jason.
And I just thought it was okay.
It was the best moment of that particular podcast was when you said, "Oh, I'll give it 3 stars," and Nolan was like, "I predicted that." You were thinking 3 stars because he was like, "It's going to be 3 stars. It's going to be 3 stars," and it was. That was brilliant. That was the greatest moment ever in your podcast. Was like, "Oh, it wasn't that bad." I believe Nolan's review of that was in haiku form.
Probably.
It was 1 star.
Yeah,
I hated that movie, but you did make me watch some shit. But that's okay. What are friends?
Okay. Yeah.
You didn't make me watch Deathstalker 2, so that was Nolan.
That was Nolan.
Yeah, I actually owned that.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to find it myself, but
the only way I could watch that was to buy it. The only way I could find it was to buy it.
Yeah, Nolan ended up. What did he do? No, he gave. I met him in Vegas when we did the Vegas meetup.
Right.
He lent me his copy in Vegas, and then he said, "Watch this and send it back to me because this is very hard to find, and this is what you're gonna watch this, and your life's gonna be changed forever." And I said, "All right," which is funny because MST3K did Deathstalker 3. And I was like, all right, I guess, whatever. And then it was like, yeah, this is like a mind-blowingly awesome movie in a bad way.
Oh yeah, it's freaking terrible.
Yeah.
And of course, like I said, for me to watch this, I had to buy it. So I found it on Amazon, and it came in a collection of 4 movies, which I'm actually holding in my hand.
Oh, sweet.
And so my movies are Deathstalker 2. Something called Barbarian Queen, and The Warrior and the Sorceress, which stars David Carradine.
That I have not heard of. Okay. That sounds like a good 4-pack.
Yes.
That would be a good topic of these random 4-pack things. Like, I got a bunch of random ass 4-pack movies, but I have to make that topic for another day.
I don't have a lot of 4-packs. I have a couple of weird duos.
Yeah.
Like I Eat Your Skin and Scared to Death. I'm actually or The Brain That Wouldn't Die and The Amazing Transparent Man. I think both of those were MST movies.
Those were both on MST 3K, yeah.
So,
all right.
Do you like movie podcasts hosted by inebriated people? That's Kai with the cracking voice and Heather's touched by evil. One thinks he's Spider-Man, the other is a ninja. It's the Man I Love Film podcast, it's the Milfcast.
Hey everybody, I'm Kai.
And I'm Heather.
And we are the hosts of MILFcast, the Man I Love Films podcast, the unofficial official podcast of manilovefilms.com. This is the podcast where we like to talk about what we've been watching, talk about movies, but mainly we just like to drink, be silly, and play a whole bunch of games. So we think every other week you should grab a drink, snuggle up, and let us make sweet love to your ears.
Otherwise, we'll make sweet love to your couch.
So come and find us on iTunes. Just search for MILFcast.
All right, so this is about the 5th episode of this podcast, and as everyone been listening knows, I'm trying to get some sponsorships going on, because that's how you make money in this podcasting business, is getting some sponsorships. And so I've been opening up sponsors for other people to do the ads for them, and I had a celebrity one last week, and sure enough, I have one this week as well. I couldn't believe my luck. When this dude emailed me and he's like, "Hey, I also got a product I'm launching. Here's an ad for it." And I was like, "All right, sweet. So let's go ahead and play that ad now." Hello, I am America's favorite writer and director, Todd Solondez. And boy howdy, there sure is a lot of streaming sites. Netflix Prime, Amazon Plus, Hulu Go. It's just so many. Well, I'm here to add one more. This one is special because, unlike those other sites, this one features all of my movies. I'm proud to present to you Solondez Stream, a 24/7 streaming site where you can watch all of my movies. Never seen Welcome to the Dollhouse? Now you can. Got the urge to watch Palindromes for the 5th time? You can do that. Need a pick-me-up after having a bad day? You can watch Happiness whenever you want. Every single one of my movies available for you to watch. And did you know I also had bit parts in other movies? I was Man on Bus in As Good as It Gets. You can watch that scene over and over and over and over again, because that's the only part of that movie I have. If you sign up now with the special code whatever, you get 20% off if you pay for a year subscription. A whole year with my movies. I couldn't think of a better thing. Well, that's it. Goodbye. Alright, so it is now time for our favorite 90s music video and or song of the week. I love me some 90s music and or music videos. So we like to celebrate it on this show, so I'll make a guest bring in their favorite song or video. So this week, my picks, you know what? I'm going to let you go first, Steve, because yours is, because of yours, I picked mine. So you go first. What's your pick?
Well, I'm not going to say it's my favorite song or video from the 90s, but it's one I like a lot. It's a band I like a lot that most people don't know. And so I picked the song Bulldog Skin by the group Guided by Voices, which is a really little-known band. So here's some fun Guided by Voices facts. The lead singer guy from Guided by Voices and who writes all of their songs is a guy named Robert Pollard, who is a school teacher, and would, like, while his kids were taking tests, he would write lyrics for whatever he was working on. All of their stuff is really weird, and a bunch of it's like super lo-fi, like recorded like in his basement type stuff. Right. If you are a writer and you are working on a book that has like characters who are in a band and you can't think of a good name for the band, pick a random Guided by Voices album and just look at the song lists, because half of their songs would be great band names. That is not. I am in no manner lying when I say this.
All right.
I'm gonna pick up an album. I'm just pick an album. One of their albums is called "Do the Collapse," and we're gonna go for. Here you go. Here are things. These are all names of songs. There's 16 songs on the album. Any one of these, I think, would make a great name for a band. You ready?
Okay.
Teenage FBI.
Okay.
Zoo Pie. Dragons Awake. Surgical Focus. Optical Hopscotch. Mushroom Art. Much Better Mr. Buckles. Strumpet Eye. Liquid Indian. And an unmarketed product. Any of those would be a great band name.
Okay.
I would go see Much Better Mr. Buckles in concert.
I probably would too.
So anyway, I'm a big fan of Guided by Voices, and the other thing about them is they have like one of the biggest discographies ever.
Huh.
And some of their stuff has actually appeared like in TV shows, like the song Teenage FBI was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show. But yeah, I'm trying to find their discography. Okay, so their discography on Wikipedia starts in '87 and has 29 albums.
Wow.
Yeah. 29, including apparently 3 releases in this year.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Alrighty.
And so anyway, yeah, I love them because they're just weird and none of their stuff makes any sense, and it's great.
Interesting. All right, so your pick led me to my pick, because I've never heard of any of that. Like, I've never heard of the band or that song, or I've never seen that music video you linked to me last week. But actually, if anyone out there, go look out the music video. It was interesting. What was the name of in the video again? What was that kid's name?
Oh, the kid's name is Larky Parka.
Yeah, so check that out just for Larky. Which actually that could be a band name right there.
Larky Parka? Yeah, it actually could be.
So your pick led me to kind of another obscure 90s song. Oh, shit. This is not even from the 90s.
When's it from?
Apparently it's from 1985.
So what? That's my era.
Well, I don't do awesome 80s songs.
Yeah, but what was it?
Take the Skinheads Bowling by Camper Van Beethoven.
Okay, sure. Sure.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm going with it. All right. It's not a 90s song. I don't feel like looking up a new one. I'm going to cheat a little bit. So be it. Fuck it. It's my podcast. I'll do what the fuck I want. I answer to no one. I answer to myself. So I'm breaking the rules for today. I'm going to pick an 80s song for my 90s thing for the week. So, okay. I've never heard of this up until maybe about 15 years ago. My friend Bill put this on a random CD he made. And I was like, what the fuck is this song? Because it's called Take the Skinheads Bowling, which is a lyric in the song, and it's like a nonsense song because it just talks about like this dude like dreaming about being plastic and taking skinheads bowling, and all bowling alleys look the same, and it's just like a stream of consciousness song. It was just stuff this dude just wrote down and turned into a song. But it's actually a good song. It's really good. Like the music is really good, and it's just interesting. And I was when I created my Spotify account, I was adding songs to Spotify. I looked them up, and I went to their Spotify page. And as I was playing the song, I was busy doing something else, and so it went to another song. Let's see, what's it called? It was like something about Lassie. I can't remember what it was called. But it played that song, and I'm like, so all they do is just write weird ass songs, because that Lassie song was really fucking weird. But Yeah, if you haven't, check out my 80s/90s song "Take the Skinheads Bowling" by Camper Van Beethoven, and I don't have a lot of information about them. I just know there was like 10,000 people in the band. They had like 1 million albums.
Yep. Yeah, they like Joe Stalin's Cadillac and Good Guys and Bad Guys.
Yeah.
I was a music nerd for a long time. I mean, you want to talk about some really obscure. I was a hipster. In late 90s, early 2000s, like, you know, people were like, oh, what are you listening to? I'm like, oh, I'm listening to the Seymour's Treat Her Like a Show Cat. You know, that's, okay. Yeah, exactly. You know,
well, and this I didn't know. I just found this on our Wikipedia. So the lead singer formed Cracker, which could have been my 90s, 90s pick. Another dude who, what did he play? Hang on. I got to scroll down and see what he played. The bass player? No, hang on. Guitar. He was the lead guitar. Joined Counting Crows. So there's a guy in Counting Crows who was in Camper Van Beethoven and had a song called "Take the Skinheads Bowling." So next time you want to diss Counting Crows, think about that.
There's an obscure British group from the 80s called the House Martins that I really enjoyed. They were kind of a bubblegum poppy, but they were like super, super political. But I loved them. And their bass player became Fatboy Slim.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
If you look up Fatboy Slim, his bio will say, yeah, he was originally the bass player for a British group called the House Martins. And I have like 2 or 3 House Martins albums floating around somewhere.
Interesting.
Yeah. Occasionally you'll get into some you'll find some very strange stuff, like just like I was into that, and then suddenly it becomes a thing that everybody knows. You know.
All right.
Were you ever into something that like you were the first person you knew who was into it?
No, actually, I'm the one who discovers things way too late.
Oh, okay.
I've never been, there are bands that I, will randomly see like live in concert who are new and they're local, and then I'm like, oh, they're going to become big someday because they're really good, and nothing ever happens to them.
Right.
And so I always like wish for like that one moment of like, hey, I remember these guys before they were famous. But no, I've never had that happen. I always hear about these people long after, like, they get like a single on the radio, they show up on like the Tonight Show or something. Like, I never discovered these people.
See, I got that a lot from my brothers, because both of my brothers still are like huge music goobers. So like, I was totally into REM before anybody knew who REM was.
Oh, wow.
Because like my brother was, I have a brother who's about 10 years older than me and a brother who's about 5 years older than me. The brother who's about 5 years older than me was a huge REM fan, like right when Murmur came out, which was their first, first thing they put out.
Yeah.
It's like I knew who they were before anybody else I knew. I was a Talking Heads fan in '82, and Speaking in Tongues, which is the album they hit with, like the album that everybody knew, was '85, I think. People knew them like Once in a Lifetime. That song was also before I was listening to them before that came out. So like I knew who they were before anybody I knew who they were. But I mean, so that happens every now and then. It would happen every now and then for me. Like I'm into this band, and like suddenly now everybody knows them. Like, how the fuck do you know this band that I'm the only person I knew who listened to them?
Yeah.
But I got that like almost all the time. Talking Heads was like the one exception, but like almost all the time when I was into something before everybody else, it was because my brothers were playing it. My brothers were listening to it. And so like, I don't know if I was like like super ahead of the curve, or it was just like I was ahead of the curve for my group.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
All right, so that's our 80s/90s songs for the week. Enjoy this.
By exactly one. Everybody
say that bowling alleys got big lanes. Some people say that bowling alleys all look the same. There's not a line that goes here that rhymes with anything. Had a dream last night, but I forget what it was. Take the skinheads bowling, take them bowling. Take the skinheads bowling, take them bowling. Had a dream last night about you, my friend. Had a dream I wanted to sleep next to plastic. Had a dream I wanted to lick your knees. Had a dream it was about nothing. Take the skinheads bowling, take them bowling. Take the skinheads bowling, take them bowling. Take the skinheads bowling, take them bowling. Take the skinheads bowling, take them bowling.
I played the part, I played the start. I made a table out of clay. I placed my hands on the plans. I waited for a proud display. I played around, I heard the sound. Certain trouble on the way. I got bulldog skin. I got bulldog skin. I took a car, I drove it far. I dug the quality of steel. I clashed my nerve, I made it swerve. I made it backwards, no big deal. I tasted blood, I dated the stud, and now I don't know how to feel. 'Cause I got bulldog skin. I got bulldog skin. Alright, you out. I've got bulldog skin. I got bulldog skin. I got bulldog skin. I got bulldog skin.
Hey, thanks, Steve, for agreeing to do the voiceover work for these upcoming movie trailers.
Oh, no problem. Just curious, what movies are they? Like Coen Brothers stuff? Wes Anderson, Paul Thomas Anderson, Terrence Malick?
Not quite. You know what? You'll see. Just read the copy I provided for you.
Okay.
All right, and we're rolling voiceover for movie 1 and action.
What if a meteor crashed to Earth, and then a dog peed on it, and now that pee is a sentient being Attack of the Pea Monster from Outer Space. This summer, beware of number 1.
All right, that was great. Good job.
Hell? Attack of... Is that a real movie?
Yeah. It's finishing post-production as we speak. I guess the P looked too fake, so, yeah. Okay, so if you just turn to movie 2, and action.
Did you know that Florida is the home of the deadliest alligators known to mankind? And it also has the highest meth users in the country. This summer, look out for meth alligator. Really, meth alligator?
Yeah, it's what happens when alligators get into a meth dealer's stash. There's a scene where it's freebasing in an alley. I could not think of a better comeback for Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal's in this.
Okay, so let's go to movie 3.
These are real movies.
Why would I have you do voiceovers for fake movies? Yes, they're real. All right, last one. You ready?
Not really.
Action.
Did you know that 98% of the male population admit to watching porn online? Well, what if a meteorite crashes on a computer while hardcore porn is playing? This summer, Attack of the Hardcore Porn Monster from Outer Space. All right, I quit.
No, wait. Who's going to do the voiceovers for all these movies I made up? That I wrote. The actual movie studio is... God damn it. All right, so our final topic for tonight is I was thinking about this a couple of weeks ago and how weird it is that there's stuff that existed just a mere 20 years ago that doesn't exist now. And the first thing that I thought of, because I was watching there's this YouTube channel that uploads all these 80s and 90s commercials. I saw one for 1-800-COLLECT. Do you remember that?
I do.
And I was like, they don't do that no more. Like, no one calls collect anymore. Like, that's so weird that, like, a whole, like, business is no longer existing. Not even like a business, like a whole like thing that everyone did for years and years and years just ceased to exist. Like, no one does 1-800-COLLECT. Like, anyone younger than like us are like, what the fuck was 1-800-COLLECT? So it was like a service where if you had to make a collect call, and now like I explained,
you got to explain collect calls.
So the telephone wasn't always free. So there was an actual phone in your house.
Still isn't, but.
Well, okay. Well, it's a little more freer than what it was. But basically, if you called anywhere outside of your local city, it was called long distance. So you would get charged a long distance fee. So to sort of get around that, you would make a collect call. You could also make a collect call if you went to another thing that doesn't exist anymore, a payphone, and you didn't have a quarter, because, again, phones costed money back then. You put a quarter in. If you didn't have a quarter, you could make a collect call to home and be like, hey, Mom, my car broke down, and come get me, or whatever. So 1-800-COLLECT was like this, like a cheap way to make long-distance collect calls to, like, you know, if you lived in New York, you can call L.A., and it'd be, like, cheaper if you did it through this business.
It wasn't necessarily cheaper. The thing that Jason left off about what a collect call was, let's say I needed to talk to Jason, and I had to call him, but I called him collect. What that meant was that instead of me paying for the call, I made Jason pay for the call.
Yeah. So this service kind of made it a little easier to do that, and was a little bit cheaper than, like, just doing it standard. And so, but there was a bunch of these, like, collect call things. There was like that one, and like an MCI had one.
What was the one that Carrot Top advertised for?
Oh, let me see.
It might have been 1-800-COLLECT.
Maybe.
There were a bunch of them, though.
No, it was 1-800-CALL ATT television commercial. Yeah.
Okay.
So call ATT. So it was another similar thing. So phone booths are another thing that no longer exist, and well, not completely. There are some. There's not as many. There are still some, and it's not even a booth anymore. It's just kind of like on a wall outside of a liquor store nowadays.
Right, but there used to be, like, in airports, there would be banks of them.
Oh yeah,
there'd be rows and rows of payphones.
So kids, if you go watch the 1980 movie Airplane,
yes,
there's this scene where these reporters rush to a bunch of boxes. That was a phone booth.
Yes, that was a phone bank.
And yeah, they used to be like everywhere. Like fucking phone booths were just like everywhere.
Yes.
Like every corner. Like there'd be some like facing each other on the same corner.
There would be every convenience store, every 7-Eleven had a phone
Gas
outside.
station.
Every gas station had a phone outside.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the only place you see them now is in movies.
Yeah, and then like the last movie that I think there was literally a movie called Phone Booth.
Yes.
That was about a guy who went into a phone booth to answer a call, and he ended up being like held hostage.
When was that movie from?
2000. I'm guessing before I look it up. I'm thinking 2003.
Let's see. It's Colin Farrell. 2002. Nice guess.
Hey, I wasn't that far off.
There's a weird horror movie from the 70s. It's a Spanish horror movie called La Cabina, where a guy gets trapped in a phone booth.
Really?
Yeah, it's worth seeing.
That.
It's like half an hour long. It's a weird little movie.
I've never heard of that.
It's worth tracking down if you get a chance. But yeah, so yeah, as recently as 2002, their phone booths were still a thing.
Yeah.
Enough that Colin Farrell made a movie about
Exactly.
being trapped in a phone booth.
Being trapped in a phone booth. So another thing that sadly doesn't exist are video stores.
Yeah.
Now they held on a little bit longer. Like, I don't know if you have Family Video where you live, but there's a chain of video stores in Indianapolis called Family Video.
There was one about half an hour from me that's gone now.
Yeah, they just closed
But, I
up
mean,
with
just
the last
recently.
one. Yeah, same here. They just closed the last one like a month ago, maybe 2 months ago.
Right.
And that was kind of sad because I was like, oh, that's like the last video store. It was kind of sad. So there was like these. I'm just gonna talk to everybody as if they don't know what these things are. So there were these like stores you went to borrow movies, but you paid for them, and you would typically go there like on a Friday night because that's when they would have all the new releases. So like, say you wanted to rent Phone Booth, the movie, and it just came out on video. You would go to like a local video store, Blockbuster, whatever, and you would rent it, pay like, I don't know, $5, $7 for it, and then you would have like 2 days to watch it, and then you take it back. And if you didn't take it back in 2 days, you got charged $1.
It was Redbox with a staff.
Yeah.
And a larger selection. But I mean, there's a progression here. So when I was a kid, and VHS became a thing because I grew up before VHS. VHS became a thing, and the first video stores were mom and pop stores.
Yeah.
Back when the two formats were VHS and Betamax.
Betamax, yep.
And we had one by us called Video Bug.
Okay.
And in the Video Bug, you would go in, and they had all of the boxes, all of the VHS boxes, Velcroed to the wall.
Oh.
And then each one had a little strip or 2 strips of Velcro on it. And there were little tabs. And there were red tabs and blue tabs. Red tabs were VHS and blue tabs were Beta. And you would tear a tab off of the Velcro and take it up, and they would get that movie for you. And it would be like, like $2 or $3, and you'd have it for a couple days.
I went to a video store that had the exact same thing. Like the red was VHS, the blue was Beta, or whatever it was.
And the thing was that in the early days, it was like you could get like a couple of good movies. So you get like, Gone with the Wind and Casablanca, and then it was just shit. And it was just like B horror, and like it was like Faces of Death, and like Faces of Death 1 through 5, and like Mother's Day, and the entire Friday the 13th collection, and it would just be like just crap, and and some good crap movies like like The Hidden. I watched because I rented it from Video Bug.
Oh, okay.
But like what are we gonna watch? Well, let's get The Hidden and Reanimator and Death Race 2000. Because that's what you could get from the Video Bug. I mean, it was just shit movies. Then that kind of evolved into things like Blockbuster and Hollywood Video.
Yeah. Hollywood Video. Now they went out of business long before Blockbuster did.
Right, because Blockbuster bought them. So in my town, before Blockbuster went out of business, there was literally a Blockbuster where you could stand on the roof and throw a rock and hit the other Blockbuster.
Oh wow!
Because Blockbuster bought Hollywood Video and turned Hollywood Videos into Blockbusters. And in my town, of course, the Hollywood Video went in across the street from the Blockbuster because they were their competition. And so rather than just closing one like a normal group of people, they just had 2 Blockbusters that were like...
Across the street from each other?
Not quite across the street, but they were within like 200 feet of each other.
Okay.
And you could literally stand on the roof of one and just about ping the other one with a rock.
That's
I think they're both mattress stores now.
I have to dedicate an episode to Mattress Firm.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about that.
Yeah, you should.
Because that is so weird.
I live in a town of 40,000 people, and I think we have 6 mattress stores.
It's fucking weird, man. Why are all these mattress stores like around? It's weird.
It's bizarre. I mean, we have like a mattress store for every 6,000 people.
Yeah,
it's
man.
Messed up.
There's
freaking mattress stores we have here.
There's
someone is eating them. That's the only reason there's the only reason that there's this many. There's people out there who are eating mattresses and buying like one a month. That's the only thing I can think of.
Something, I don't know. So another thing that doesn't exist, we're kind of in the video store thing, is TV VCR repair shops.
Mm-hmm.
There would be like these mostly guys who, if your TV or VCR broke, you were too stupid to know how any of this worked, so you would take it to this guy, and he charged you like $200, and he'd fix it for you.
Right.
And those don't exist anymore. Like the closest thing that we have now is like the Apple Store. If your iMac like breaks, you just take it to this guy.
Right. We live in sort of a disposable economy now, where it's just cheaper to buy a new TV.
Yeah, I mean, that too.
How much is a big screen TV? A big flat screen right now.
Probably $300-$400.
Right. And you can go buy a new, better TV than the one that just broke.
Because when these TVs and VCRs, back in the 80s, they cost literally like thousands of dollars.
Right.
Like the first like VCRs were like easily $1,500.
Right. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, a little kid. One of my sisters was babysitting someone, and she came home. She's like, "Yeah, we watched Superman, the movie." And my mom was like, "Oh, was it on TV?" She's like, "No, they had a machine, and what they had was a Laserdisc player."
Oh, yes.
Which, for those of y'all who were too young to remember Laserdiscs, a Laserdisc was a giant, like it looked like an LP, like a vinyl record album, and I can say that because those are coming back now.
Yeah.
So it looked like it was about that size, and you would pop it into the machine, and it would come right back out, and it would just play the movie.
Imagine a DVD, but the size of an LP.
Yes.
That was exactly a Laserdisc.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. And it was pre-VHS.
Yes, it was.
But they were super limited. Like, you couldn't, rewind them. Once you started it, you had to watch the movie through.
Yeah. Pausing was weird.
Right.
You couldn't rewind it. And, okay, so I think I told the story before. I don't remember. But my friend Bill has a Laserdisc player. And I would go with him to thrift shops, and we would go look for Laserdisc movies. And one day we were out, and we found The Exorcist on Laserdisc. And so he bought it. It was only like, I don't know, $5, $10, so something. And we took it back to his place, and we're like, let's watch this tonight. This is so awesome. We've seen Exorcist before, obviously, but it was on Laserdisc. We never seen it on Laserdisc, so this was cool. So the thing about Laserdisc that I didn't realize until that day was there's like 2 discs, and the movies are on both sides of the discs. But they never picked a stopping point for when the disc would end. So it would literally be like in the middle of a scene, in the middle of a line, and the disc would just end.
Right.
And then it would just pop out. And then you'd be like, what the? And it's The Exorcist too. So, you're all intense and this, terrifying shit's happening. And then it'd be like, well, she's pussy. Right. And you're like, oh, holy shit, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was like, it wasn't done like, yeah, we'll end this one like a minute earlier so it ends at a scene. It would,
No.
Oh, I remember watching, I was watching Night of the Living Dead, the original Night of the Living Dead on some shitty streaming service, a free streaming service. And it was like, it would pop up ads like every 10 minutes.
Oh yeah,
but it wasn't. It would just pop them up like when it hit the point. It was like it's going to be an ad in 10 minutes. And so you've seen it, of course. And there's
Yeah.
the scene near the end where the little girl has reanimated and is killing her mom with a trowel, right?
Yep.
And so it's like I'm watching it. It's like trowel stab, ad. Jesus fucking Christ! And we have like 2 minutes of ads, and a trowel stab. It's like what the hell? But that's exactly what the latest were like.
Do you have anything, Steve, that used to exist about 20 years ago that doesn't exist now?
I mean, if I gave it some thought, probably, yeah. But
like just off the top of your head, like can you think of anything like,
smoking sections?
Yeah, there you used to be able to smoke inside restaurants like all the time for a long time.
In bars. I mean, it's a recent thing. Like
it is, yeah.
When we moved out here, I was thinking about getting a part-time job as a bouncer at a local bar, and for a overweight 50-year-old, that's funny. But 20 years ago, when I was 32 and we moved out here, I had just tested for a black belt. So, I mean, it was not a stupid thought to say I could be a bouncer. I mean, I newly minted black belt, I could kick a little ass.
I was only laughing because I think you're a peaceful guy, not because of your shape.
Right.
I was laughing because of you're like a very peaceful Zen guy. So picturing you as a bouncer is kind of funny. That's all I was laughing at.
My wife wouldn't let me do it. Because she's like, I don't want you in that environment where you're, and it wasn't like I don't want you in that environment because there's drunk people and it's going to be dangerous. It was, I don't want you in that environment because it's all smoke all the time. Like it's bad for your health.
Yeah.
So I didn't do it. And I mean, the irony, of course, is now I could do it, and I'm fat and out of shape, so I can't do it. But I mean, it was a genuine thing that I was thinking about doing. But you could smoke in bars and smoke in restaurants, and you could smoke on airplanes.
Airplanes, yeah, you totally could smoke on airplanes, which is probably really weird to people nowadays. Like, how the fuck do you smoke on an airplane? Like, you did,
right? And
you totally did.
The irony is that air quality on airplanes is worse now.
Yeah.
Because what they do is they just recycle the same air.
Yeah.
But back in the day, they would flush the cabin like every 8 minutes to get rid of the smoke. So it was always fresh air coming in. So yeah, the air quality is actually worse in airplanes now than it used to be. But whatever. It just that's the one that strikes me because smoking used to be so normal. Mm-hmm. People still smoke, obviously, but less, and because vaping is now a thing. Like there aren't ashtrays everywhere.
Right. McDonald's used to have ashtrays.
Yes, little tin ashtrays.
Someone posted a picture of a McDonald's ashtray, and I'm like, I remember that. I remember seeing it all the time. Yeah.
Like they had like little wavy edges.
Yeah,
you would stick a cigarette in. Like when you were a kid, like when I was a kid. And I keep saying like when I was a kid, but I mean even like when I was in high school, like if you took a shop class or something, one of the things that you would make would be like an ashtray.
Ashtray, yeah. That is true.
Because everyone had ashtrays.
Mm-hmm.
My dad smoked for years and then he quit. But like we still had ashtrays in our house.
Yeah.
Because like everybody smoked. Everybody smoked. My best friend's parents smoked. His dad smoked Winston's.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I remember that. My dad's brand was True, which doesn't even exist anymore.
Hey, that's nothing.
So, but yeah, like that was the thing. Like there were ashtrays and lighters in cars.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing now too. Like in cars now, there are.
There's a lighter socket, but like if you buy a car and you want a lighter, you have to ask for it.
Yeah,
it doesn't come automatically in the car.
Because now it's used to like charge your phone.
Right. There's like the outlet for that, but the outlet's like this is the phone charger.
Yeah.
Like and like your car has a USB now. But yeah, there used to be like cars always had a cigarette lighter in them.
It did.
So yeah, that's probably the one that I can think of off the top of my head. If I really thought about it, I could probably think of it more. But
all right, yeah. So those are just a small sampling of things that we used to have just about 20 years ago that doesn't exist. And it's just so weird. Like I mean, I know like things move on and times change, and back in like the 1700s we had like people that made girdles all the time, and now no one makes girdles anymore.
Buggy whips.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, it's just stuff that, like, you remember just growing up with that just no longer exists, and it's just weird.
You know what? I will tell you one. You know what they don't have anymore? I mean, I know they still exist, but they don't exist like they used to. Video arcades.
Okay. Those are kind of making a weird comeback, though.
They are, but, like...
You're right. They were gone for a while.
Well, growing up, there was a video arcade, actually, ironically, not that far from the Video Bug. Okay. And it was huge. Like, it was the mecca of video arcades when I grew up. You could go to Galaxy World. That was like, oh, man, Galaxy World was the shit, if you were into that. And, of course, I was. And Galaxy World was, I mean, it's gone now. It was attached to a bowling alley. And it's gone. It's like a car dealership now. I mean, it's completely gone.
Okay.
But it was huge. It was a huge arcade. But I have actually found one. So for those of y'all in the Chicago area, and the next time you're out in the Chicago area, Jason, this is something you can do for a day.
Okay.
In Brookfield, there is a video arcade called Galloping Ghost.
I think I've actually heard of that. I think I remember someone mentioned that to me before.
It's like a city block sized warehouse.
Ooh.
And they have like 750 different games.
Oh, sweet.
And it's free play. You pay to get in, and you can play whatever you want for the whole day for free.
Okay.
So it's like $20 to walk in for the day. So the last time I went to Galloping Ghost, I paid my $20 to get in, and I found the X-Men, the upright X-Men machine.
Okay.
Do you remember that game?
I think so. Yeah.
I played it through twice.
Oh.
I just played X-Men for like 3 hours. It was great.
Awesome.
But I mean, that was the thing years and years ago, was you would walk into a place and it was like slot machines have become now. There were video games everywhere. Like there'd be like Pac-Man machines in bowling alleys and like gas stations.
Yeah.
I mean, there would be, Space Invaders machine frickin' everywhere.
Yes. Yes.
There would be like restaurants that had a little side room with a little tiny video arcade. Or,
they did.
Movie theaters had little video arcades in them. They were everywhere. Coin-op video games were a huge deal.
Yeah.
And it was, even though there were home game systems, like one of the things that would happen would be you'd have the coin-op games, and then like the home systems would fight to see which ones got to, like, it was like, oh, the Atari 2600's getting Asteroids, and it would be like that would be a reason to buy the 2600.
Right.
And sometimes they would be terrible, like the 2600 Pac-Man was terrible. But I mean, they were everywhere. Video arcades were freaking everywhere, and now they're now you have to hunt for them. But like you'd go to Great America, the amusement park, like a Disney World for Chicago, had a gigantic video arcade, and like you'd go to Great America to go on rides. I'm going to go to the video arcade. I'm not an idiot. But I mean, it was packed. It would be huge.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's something that used to exist and doesn't exist anymore.
All right, so I'm interested in hearing what all of you have to say about things that no longer exist, that existed 20 years ago. You can email me at whateverjasonsoto@gmail.com. And with that, we are going to end this episode. Woo-hoo. So, I'm going to take the next couple of weeks off so I can celebrate Thanksgiving and get ready to do battle for a $10 48-inch flat screen TV. But when I come back, I'm going to have my friend Mary on for a very special episode where we will briefly turn, for one episode anyway, into a true crime podcast.
I'm just curious.
Stay tuned for that.
I'm just curious, when you say it's a very special episode, does that mean like it's going to be like a very special episode of Blossom and we're all going to learn an important lesson?
No, we're going to talk about murder a lot.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure. It's like it's a very special Punky Brewster.
Gotcha. No one's getting trapped in any refrigerator. Well, maybe someone's trapped in a refrigerator and they get killed.
Awesome.
All right. Whatever with Jason Soto was hosted by me, Jason Soto, and that can be found on Twitter at whateverjsoto, or as I said, you can email me at whateverjasonsoto@gmail.com. Also, check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/whateverwithjasonsoto. I post funny memes on there most times, and then I post new episodes on there as well, so check that out. I'd like to thank my special co-host this week, Steve Honeywell. Go check out his writings over at 1001plus.blogspot.com. Steve, I have an awesome time with you as always. Thank you very much for slicing a little time out of your life to come on my new stupid podcast.
Oh, Jason, you know you're the only reason I ever come back to podcast. It's always just for you.
Well, thank you. I very much appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. Thank you very much for coming on.
Anytime.
And talking serious nonsense with me. This podcast can be found on Podomatic, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you get podcasts from. Now, since technically this is now an Apple product, you can look forward to me introducing a new model of this podcast in 3 months' time. It'll be the exact same model, but it will cost more for some reason, and you all will buy it, or else. The opening and closing music is Battle of Who Could Care Less by Ben Folds 5 off their album Whatever and Ever Amen. I do not own the song, nor do I exactly have permission to use it, but I do have fair use on my side, and I'm not making off this podcast. So if someone wants to pay me money for this show, I will come up with an original song or just pay a band to cover it. That is going to do it for this episode. I'd like to thank you all very, very much for listening, and click those likes on wherever you're listening to this from. And as always, keep your head in the clouds and your feet in the mud. Good night, everybody.
Whatever.